Hey folks, last night was the top 6 on season 9 of American Idol singing the music of Shania Twain, which in theory I thought should have been a great theme since it's moderately current, even though Shania Twain has been in hiding longer than Osama bin Laden. But at least this music is from my generation and not my grandfather's. Plus, Shania Twain music is only kinda country. It's not whiskey, women, and tractors country. It's basically middle of the road, which should have fit this season's top 6 like a glove. Unfortunately, I don't think any of them had what Simon Cowell would call a moment. The special guest mentor was obviously the beautiful Miss Shania Twain, who had already been a guest judge earlier in the season during the auditions, and I thought she did a great job with that, and I thought she was even better as a mentor. So many of the other mentors have told the contestants to make the song their own and feel it, and I thought Shania Twain actually told them how. So I thought that was great, but maybe I'm just being biased because I adore Shania Twain so much. Maybe I am overpraising her, kind of like the judges overpraised Lee Dewyze, who was the first of the night singing "You're Still the One." Shania Twain told him not to focus so much on the guitar, and when he was singing for her, I thought it sounded great. I thought, yes, this is finally the week that I'm going to join the judges on the Lee Dewyze Twain. Unfortunately, when he took to the stage, it didn't quite turn out that way. I thought it was Lee's worst performance yet. It was just awful. It was all over the place. Hell, I think Roseanne Barr could have done a better job with that song than Lee Dewyze did last night. With each pitchy note that came out of his mouth, I thought, wow, the judges are really going to rip him a new one this week. And what happened? They loved it. Go figure. You know what Lee kind of reminds me of? The Blair Witch Project. For months, everybody was talking about what a great movie it was, and it was the scariest movie of all time, and I was really excited about that because I love scary movies. I love a good scary movie. And when I finally watched it, I thought, did I blink and miss something? Because it wasn't scary at all. I mean, it probably would have been a good movie on its own, but it really didn't live up to all the hype, and that's kind of how Lee Dewyze is for me. And now he's a fine singer, but he just doesn't live up to the hype. Randy said, you did a pretty good job with it, dude. Ellen said, you did better than a pretty good job with it. Kara said, look how far you've come. And Simon said it was absolutely the perfect song choice for Lee. Next was Michael Lynche singing It Only Hurts When I'm Breathing. Shania Twain said the only ones that really make it in the end are the ones that are feeling it the most. Words of wisdom from Michael Lynche. There's just something that makes me believe that he doesn't feel it. It's like he's learned exactly how to act, what to sing, and how to sing it in order to get praise from the judges, but it just seems a little bit artificial to me. If you look at the difference between Hollywood Big Mike and the Big Mike of today, the difference is just staggering. It feels like he's doing what he thinks he needs to do in order to stay in the competition, but he's not really doing what he wants to do. It would be for me like Aaron Kelly singing the Backstreet Boys. You know that's not what he wants to do. He wants to do country music, and so it feels very fake to me. Maybe it was the judges' save that ruined Big Mike for me because it just took the wind out of him, it felt like. You know he's not going to win, so it just feels like he's there and he's not really a part of the competition anymore. And that we're just waiting for the inevitable. But he nearly brought Shania Twain to tears, so what the hell do I know? That is the second woman on the show that he's brought to tears. Well, if you don't count his wife. He brought her to tears too, but for a different reason. And I think she might want to pull out the tissues tonight because he might be in trouble again. Randy said, you're in the zone of who you are, and there's a big wide open space for you. Yeah, Randy Jackson, it's called the door, and don't let it hit you in the big wide open space on the way out. Ellen compared him to Luther Vandross. Kara thought he put his mark on it, and Simon thought the performance was a little wet and girly, but he did agree with Ellen's Luther Vandross comparison. Next was Casey James singing Don't. Casey wanted to use this as a chance to show us a part of himself that he hasn't really shown yet, and it's a part that Kara DiAguardi's been begging to see for quite some time now. And after seeing it, I gotta say, I don't think it was really that impressive. Hey, get your mind out of the gutter. Actually, though, it was kind of like Levi Johnston when he was going to pose for Playgirl. There was all this hype around it, and then when he finally posed, all he showed was his butt, which was fine, but it kind of leads me to believe that he didn't have anything else to show, which is kind of the way I feel about Casey James. It was adequate, but it wasn't anything that we haven't seen before from Casey. I know he wanted to prove that he isn't a one-trick pony, but I think all he really proved is that he's a two-trick pony. He basically has two performances. One where he's standing there with an electric guitar, and one where he's sitting on a stool with the acoustic guitar, and the Billy Goat vibrato. So I don't think he really showed us anything new, but this is the kind of performance that I was expecting from Casey this week, because after his brush with the bottom three last week, it's really what he had to do, and I won't be surprised if this is what he does from here on out. But he did an adequate job with it, as I said, though, in that cowardly spot behind the judges. Randy said it was one of the best KC performances ever. Is that like one of the best Tim performances ever, where he's judging them on where he's grading them on I don't know. You know what I mean. Ellen thought it was his best to date. Kara said if he keeps doing that, he'll be at the front of the competition. And Simon thought it was his best performance and suggested that he give Shania Twain a kiss on the lips. Next was Crystal Bowersox singing No One Needs to Know. First off, let me say, if I were Crystal Bowersox, when she was sitting there with Ryan Seacrest before her performance, I would have hauled off and punched him square in the testicles. The way he took that cheap shot at her. Were you all listening when he said, when they were talking about Shania Twain, and he said she's got really white teeth? Did anybody else see that as a subtle low blow to Crystal and her less than sparkling grill? Even Shania Twain rolled her eyes when he said that, and people don't usually roll their eyes when they're being complimented. I think she saw it just like I did, an insult to Crystal Bowersox, and I thought it was despicable. Anyway, on to her performance. No One Needs to Know is probably one of my favorite Shania Twain songs, and it was my least favorite Crystal Bowersox performance. She took everything that was fun about that song and just completely ripped it out of it. I thought it made it completely unrecognizable. If you've never heard the song before, look it up on YouTube and hear Shania Twain sing it. Crystal Bowersox's version paled in comparison. I thought it was horrible. There were a few parts that I thought she was even messing up, and watching it back, I don't know if she was really messing up or if she meant for it to sound like that, but it was horrible anyway. Crystal was singing it, though, for her boyfriend, throwing hints at him in hopes that he'll man up and propose to her. Crystal, it's 2010. Don't be so old-fashioned. It's not 1950 anymore. If you want to marry that boy, why don't you propose? Randy said it wasn't his favorite performance, but he's glad she did country. Ellen said it wasn't her favorite performance. Kara said, I agree with the guys. Hey, Kara, Ellen isn't a guy. She's a lesbian. That doesn't mean she's not a lady. She is a lady, unlike some other people. Simon said, shocker, we don't like Crystal this week. I'm not sure how I felt about Crystal Bowersox, though, backsassing the judges. I thought she could have done without that. Some people have done it before, and it's blown up in their faces. But I think a few people might be turned off to Crystal Bowersox this week by the backsassing. I did think it was hilarious, though, that she said, bigger isn't always better, about a song that she was singing to her boyfriend. I bet that made him feel so small. Oh, and if you were trying to read his shirt, but like me weren't able to catch what it said the first time around, I stopped it, and I think it said, do you know that America prefers Crystal Bowersox for their idol 1 bajillion times more than other contestants? Next was Aaron Kelly singing You Got Away. I think Shania Twain had some pretty good advice for him when she told him not to be preoccupied with hitting the note and that he should end where he feels safe and good. I think Aaron has often had a problem with reaching for impressive notes that are just a little bit out of his reach, so even sometimes when he's good, his performances seem a little bit messy, and I don't think this performance was perfection, but compared to the others, I thought he was the best of the night. And he really needed to be, since this was Shania Twain, country music, and he's the country singer. He was the one under the microscope. And I think the judges and even some people at home were ready with claws out, waiting to just shred him and send him home to mama if he wasn't great. And fortunately for him, I think he was great. I did think it was a bit rude of Ellen and Ryan, though, to talk about tomorrow's going to be tough. Tomorrow's going to be tough. What, tomorrow would have been tough if he hadn't done well? I think they were the ones that were expecting Aaron to come on and, fail this week and then go home tomorrow night. And now that he did well, they don't know what to expect. So I thought that was a little bit rude. Randy thought he did a really good job. Ellen still can't get over the fact that he's only 16, well, 17. Kara was glad that he changed the lyric about making love, since obviously he's too young to know anything about that. Kara, he is not in diapers. I mean, the boy's 17 years old. She acts like he should be singing preschool lullabies. Aaron explained that he was singing the song for his mom. Oh, well, isn't that sweet? There ain't no way he's going home now. And Simon thought he did really well. And the last of the night was Siobhan Magnus singing Any Man of Mine. I thought this was a horrible song choice for Siobhan, but of course I've gotten to the point that the only song I want to hear when Siobhan Magnus is on that stage is I Think I Better Leave Right Now. So I don't think there is any song that she could have picked that would have satisfied me, but I thought it was just awful. I know the judges loved it, and I saw a lot of people online that loved it. I don't really know what kind of alternate reality I'm watching this show in, but I thought it was excruciatingly bad. I thought it was horrible. And I don't say that just because I don't like Siobhan. Well, of course, I don't like Siobhan, but I say that because, I've been able to give her praise on some occasions, haven't I? Like last week, I said the judges were too hard on her. I thought the song was too country for her. It's one of Shania Twain's more countrified songs. A lot of Shania Twain songs lend themselves to any genre, but this is not one of them. Siobhan is kind of like Casey James in that she's a two-trick pony. Well, of course, I like Casey James a lot better than I like Siobhan. But she has two performances. One that is a pitchy, screechy, painful mess the whole way through, with a big loud scream at the end. And the other one is a pretty but slow performance that is so boring that it would have put a crystal meth addict to sleep. So I think she's a two-trick pony, and she's not going to win. And I thought her dress was horrid too, but that's the case more often than not. She oftentimes comes out there looking like a clown. My uncle said that she looked like she fell into her grandmother's drapes and decided to wear them. And was it just me, or was Shania Twain's reaction kind of like, that don't impress me much? With the others, she was like very enthusiastic, and she'd give the over-the-head clap, and she'd holler and all that. And with Siobhan, it felt like she was clapping just to be polite. I thought that was funny. Randy loved it. Ellen said, wait to pull the Shania Twain into the station. Kara said, guess who's back? Siobhan! And Simon thought the song was perfect, but the scream sounded like she was giving birth. So anyway, that was it for the night. I think the bottom three is Siobhan, Magnus, Michael Lynche, and Lee Dewyze. With Michael Lynche probably being the one going home, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a surprise. And I think we should know early on in the show. Every time we've had a surprise this season, Ryan Seacrest has ruined it at the beginning of the show by saying, we're going to have a surprise. Well, if he says that tonight, we know that Lee Dewyze is going home. I think he's going to be okay, but overpraising might have hurt him. And if I was a Lee Dewyze fan, I would be very nervous. And if I was Lee Dewyze, I would be very nervous too. But of course, we hear that he's always nervous, so that would be nothing new. I think his performance wasn't good enough to win over any new fans, and the judges' comments weren't harsh enough to get his hardcore fans in panic mode. And with Casey James, his fans are in panic mode from last week. Big Mike's fans have been in panic mode since he was saved by the judges. With Crystal, I think she's got enough fans that it doesn't really matter for now. And Aaron Kelly, I think he won the casual votes. And for some reason, people like Siobhan's screeching. And so I think, I think Lee Dewyze will probably be safe this week. He's in a very dangerous position. And I won't be surprised if we see a surprise. Anyway, I'll see you folks tomorrow.